All right, and we're live. So, hello and welcome back.
Hello.
Did you miss us? I know I missed us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how was your week? Let's get it on record.
Oh boy. Just long.
Mm-hmm.
We'll leave it at that. I won't go into the details. Just a long week.
All right, my week officially ended on Tuesday. Yeah, that's great, but I don't know. I mean, I do know why, but on days that I don't work, I actually end up being a lot busier because I just have all this time, and
Yeah.
I'm very ambitious, just trying to squeeze 48 hours into 24 hours. That never succeeds, but
I feel the same way on my days off. If I'm not doing at least like 4 or 5 things, I feel like it's an unproductive day, and then I just feel like I wasted my day.
yeah, the struggles of being an INTJ.
Yeah.
It's, but you know, some days they're very rare, but some days I actually manage to beat the clock, and you know, that feels really, really nice. It doesn't happen
for sure.
a lot, but I just think to myself,
When it does
oh my
happen.
God. Yeah.
Right.
You totally outdid yourself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Wednesday and Thursday, we're recording on Wednesday night, but tomorrow and Friday I have some time off, so just gonna try to get some things done, you know, more studying, yada yada.
What are you studying?
Programming. I don't think I actually mentioned it on the podcast
No,
ever, but
I don't think so.
But yeah, I'm studying Python, and then almost halfway through this course, but there's still a long way to go. And the thing about programming and why I love it is because it's never ending. It really is. Like, it's like this huge tree that keeps, you know, growing more and more branches. It will never end. So you can never know too much, I guess.
Yeah. When did you start studying?
Ooh, so I started going into it, I would say, I want to say 3 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't programming that I first started going into. I started through quality assurance. So it's not coding in particular, but it's more like how to test a code, an application, a site, whatever, like to search for bugs and kind of what's not working. So again, the quality assurance side of it. But programming was always the main goal. But the thing is, when, at least where I'm from, going into coding through that is easier than actually going straight into programming, you know, applying for programming jobs if you don't have experience.
Right.
So if you don't have experience, it's more likely to get into quality assurance jobs rather than programming. And I mean, odds are kind of low anyway, because they always want either experience, which, you know, people call it the junior paradox, because everyone wants to hire you only if you have experience. But if you don't have experience and everyone refuses to hire you, then how are you going to get experience, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So the junior paradox right there. But so it's either that, or they just really, really want you to have a degree. And you know what? The world of academia, like, I have so many thoughts about it, just kind of fucking iffy. I never got along in that framework. I don't know. It's me though. I know that it's me. I'm just not, like, I have to have my own pace, my own methods, whatever.
I was just going to ask, are you somebody who doesn't like structured like coursework and stuff like that?
I mean, I guess it depends on the structure, but I did find it very hard to do it in class, like, and this was also 3 years ago was the height of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we were doing Zoom lectures and all that shit, and I don't know, like, with these online universities, I feel like they're just, especially in the technological with this technological material, I found myself getting very, very little out of the human element of things, but it's more like they would dump like a bunch of resources, and then, you know, like there would be minimum explanation. So it's like, what am I even fucking paying you for? I'll just watch the video tutorials, and you know, that's it.
Was my exact experience with online education. I was in school. I don't know if I ever told you this. I was in school to do like video game design for a while.
No, oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah. Well, I did it online, and that was the problem. Was I remember very specifically, there was one course that I had where the professor or whoever was leading this one part of the course just fucked off on vacation for like 2 weeks and didn't like tell anybody. So I had a question about a project, and I emailed the guy. I'm like, hey, like, I have a question about this. Yeah, hey, hi, your student. I have a question about this project. Didn't hear from him literally until I think like towards the end of that section of the course, and then I get an email from him. Sorry, I was on vacation. I didn't see your email. I'm like, screw this. Yeah. That was, I think, when I decided online education was not for me. So, I mean, that was the turning point.
I imagine that it's obviously not the same as programming. The thing about about writing code is that you have to develop the ability to self-learn. And to kind of go and explore and figure shit out for yourself, because as a programmer, when you're working, you know, in a team, like you have a manager, like someone like a master coder, whatever you want to call it, you can't just keep bringing, you know, up issues to them. You have to figure out how to get this done. So like the customer, he will go, okay, I want the code to do A, B, C, D. And you have to figure it out for yourself, and you have to figure out like the best way to do it as well, which is why I think a lot of INTJs are attracted to that field, because it kind of gives you the sense, oh my god, this is going to sound so megalomaniac, but it kind of gives you the feeling that you're the master of your own world. You know what I mean? Like you can control everything about the code, and like you can try to experiment and kind of see what works and how it works better. And I do feel like we have that thing almost like in kind of like in chess, like you're thinking, what is the best move that I can take next? So you kind of consider all the options, and then you decide what's the best one to go with. So I don't know. I feel like it would be perfect for me. I do enjoy it very, very much, but it's a slow process because I'm having a hard time concentrating in general. My reality right now is kind of complicated, but I am trying. So I also kind of changed my outlook on these things, because I used to be we've spoken about this before, but like I can deep dive into things that I get obsessed with short term. But I'm being very, very careful because I don't want the same to happen with code, because then I might experience a burnout, which I don't want. And it has been happening, and I feel like I'm just now getting my mojo back, or starting to get it back. So I don't want to like exhaust myself, and then what will happen is that I despair of code, and then I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't want that, because I do genuinely love it and see myself, you know, writing code for a very, very long time. So I would rather do 1 hour, 2 hours of studying per day on average. I don't study every day, but on average. Rather than do a deep dive for like 4 hours a day. And it gives you a brain rot, because it's very, very hard to do. It's very time consuming, and it's very, very hard to do. Like when I sit on the computer writing code for a very long time, once I walk away from that, I really feel what it did to me, like to my brain. It's heavy. It's heavy stuff. So I'd rather, you know, keep it to small portions. But yeah, after that, huge ramble. should we talk about the elections? Should we say a word or two, or should we not go into politics whatsoever?
I'd rather not.
Or do you want to say what did you vote? Do you want to say who you voted for? Or
I actually don't. Okay, I'm going to expose myself here. I did not. The reason I didn't is because I moved states, so I don't have an ID from the state that I currently live in. So if I wanted to vote, I would have had to go all the way back to the state I used to live in, and I didn't have time to do that. So
you'd have to go physically. Can't you send it in the mail or something?
you can, but I didn't. I missed the deadline, and it's fine. It's whatever.
Okay. So, okay, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to say that I'm quite happy about where the chips fell. And I don't know. I have high hopes, actually. Realistic, but I do have high hopes. Like I feel like things are about to turn, around and for the better, but time will tell. I'm hopeful. So, yeah, should we just, I think that we should just, go back to the story time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will definitely have to go over the characters again. It's been a while, but...
Give us a little character recap.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we're now in part 2. I don't know how many parts this is going to have. No, actually, this is part 3. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know how many parts this will have. I think we're just gonna do this one and then another one, like a closing one.
An epilogue.
Yeah. But so in the last episode, we mentioned Gareth's book, right?
Yep.
And good stuff. Good stuff. And then. Because a bunch of us were reading his book, and, all these personal jokes kind of started forming around it. And unfortunately, there are people in his community that genuinely feel like he's a shitty writer. I don't think that he is, but, other people were kind of crucifying him. I don't know. I enjoyed the read. It was definitely, it's, I mean, what can you say? It's transgressive fiction, it's supposed to make you feel a certain way. But I think that it did what it was supposed to do, and yeah, that's it. But then, I haven't read any of his other works. I kind of considered it for a while, but then, because he had a book that he wrote before this one. So it's kind of, I mean, he had several of them. He released a bunch of short stories. Short stories usually are not my thing, so it never really, I don't know why that is, by the way, but
yeah, no, that's interesting, because I really enjoy short stories.
So I think that for me, I mean, I'm speculating, but I think that for me, because I'm really just in love with the idea of storytelling and characters, and stories that are very character driven. And the thing about short stories is that I feel like I don't get the proper time as a reader to get really, really invested. And by the time that I do become invested, the story is over. So it's just, I would prefer more detail, like a plot that actually takes you through beginning, middle, and takes some time.
See, I'm also somebody who is very into character-driven stories, but I just love a good short story that has, like, a punch at the end. That's, like, my cup of tea right there.
Yeah, something that hits with a purpose. Yeah. I hear you.
So, quick question. His books, if he's got multiple, they were on, like book review sites like Goodreads and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
What was the general consensus on those websites or those platforms about his book?
So it was either like really, really positive, and those reviews usually come from people in the same field, like other transgressive fiction writers, or people who came across his book with no previous knowledge of who he is, yada yada. So they essentially like have no no personal interest, I would say, or like no motive to kind of give a positive biased review. You know what I mean? So it was either like 1 star and people getting fucking triggered and like so you know, like, oh my god, what is this? Or people that were, you know, very complimentary, yada yada. I did rate it pretty high, and then, you know, people were like, you know, kind of iffy about my rating, say, what, you really think it's that good, blah blah blah. Yeah, I think it's a good story. I think that in terms of like, first of all, I like his writing, from what I've seen. I mean, I've only read 1 book. I liked his writing. And again, the piece as a piece did what it was supposed to do. As a transgressive piece, it does what it's supposed to do. You know, transgressive fiction is supposed to tell you something about the world. Like, the author is supposed to be presenting, you know, or like criticizing society, or like telling you something about it. Now, it's important to say, because, you know, Fight Club, I feel like it's the Bible of transgressive fiction. And I was watching this interview once with Brad Pitt and Edward Norton, who, you know, they were doing the movie, the actors. And they said that the character of Tyler Durden, who is very, very, like, how would I say? He's a very questionable fellow.
Right. And,
you know, he's just, you can either love him or hate him, but there's definitely something about him that makes you think, right? He is this, I don't know, can I call him a villain? I'm not sure. But he takes the narrator down a very, very dark path. And I think it was Brad Pitt who said in the interview that, so you have Tyler, and he is the anti-hero, villain, whatever you want to call it. He represents an idea that the story as a whole doesn't necessarily go with all the way, or the author. So, like, the author is showing you what the character is doing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he expects the audience to agree with him, or, like, right, you know, like, fully support everything that he does, and, you know, like, the way that things develop because of his actions. So,
now, I think, do you feel that in this book it's the same? Do you feel like, you know,
now knowing everything that I know, the answer would be no. I don't think so. I think that if you are, if there's enough distance between you and the author, and like what you know about him outside of the reading experience, then you might think so. You might be deceived, but I don't think so, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was like, is there like a level of self-reflection here at the end of the story?
So, yeah, so this brings me to, you know, kind of the wrapping, I would say, like what the book is embedded in. So I was, again, he was doing all these live streams. He still does them. And I feel like he loves interacting with his audience. He doesn't have a big audience, but he loves interacting with them and, you know, just answering questions, talking about things. So there were certain people who kind of revealed their love life or lack thereof on chat, and he would comment and stuff like that. And whenever the subject of relationships would come up, one of the first things that he would always ask about is the age of the people involved. And yeah, so like, for example, many times he'd say, I mean, he would repeat it so often that it kind of, it's always in my mind now. He used to say that he had this friend years ago when they were 19, so him and his friends, his friend, 19 years old, was dating a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old, and no one, this is a direct quote, and no one made a huge deal, about it. And he said multiple times, like, you can't forget shit like that, right? In my mind, branded forever.
Oof.
But you know what? It's not just, the thing is, it's not just that say, but it's more like the way that it's just a lot of puzzle pieces that slowly sunk into the right place. So there was that. There was, on several occasions, he mentioned that when he wrote the book, the love interest of the author, 14-year-old girl, he would always imagine, like, in his mind, he wrote the girl looking like Emma, what's her name? Hermione from Harry Potter.
Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. So 14-year-old Emma Watson, right? And always, always that, around, it was always around age. Like, every discussion somehow went back to relationships, older men, younger girls, just shit like that. And I don't know, very, the vibes were always kind of Lolita, Lana Del Rey, Christina Ricci in
2014 Tumblr girl aesthetic.
Yeah. I forgot what's the name of the movie that Christina Ricci was in. She was a teenager. She was a Lolita in that movie. Buffalo 66. That's the kind of vibe. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a good movie, but it's still fucked up. Anyways, so a bit like later into this period, after I found out about him and his community, yada yada, I had it on good authority. I'm not gonna expose my source, but I had it on good authority that there was some kind of weird internet relationship of, okay, so it's called Daddy Dom X Little Girl.
Okay, yeah.
It's so freaking cringe.
I'm gonna kink shame, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm kink shaming.
Which I will never kink shame, but in this specific situation, it's just fucking cringe. So him, and then there's Tegan and Melissa, right? Tegan, again, going back to the original characters. Tegan is a 17-year-old girl from Australia who never eats, obsessed with, I think it's a movie called Blue Velvet, and Buffalo 99, and Kate Moss. Like, she's obsessed with that thinspo crap. Never eat, drink and smoke cigarettes, and live fast, die young, and leave a skeleton body, essentially.
Yep, I know the type. I know the aesthetic. Yep.
And Melissa, 19-year-old from Mexico, I got some stories about her as well. She is, again, a student from Mexico, and the thing about these people is that, first of all, about Tegan, like, I had reason to believe that everything that she's ever said was just a lie. Melissa as well, actually. But I remember, like, one time, for example, we were on the Discord, and Gareth rarely joined us. He was almost never around when the Discord was just wilding out, and he is the admin, right? It makes no sense. But then one time, it was Sunday morning, and he joined a bunch of us on voice chat. And Melissa was telling a story of how she was regularly blowing her professor for cigarettes and cigarette money. Yeah.
That did not take the turn I was expecting, but all right.
Yeah, so she was telling that story. Now, if she is lying, then that's fucked up, because why would you lie about it? If she is telling the truth, it's fucked up, because why would you do that? But either way, it's fucked up. Like, no matter how you look at it, there's just no way of being cool about it. So, yeah, apparently they had this weird three-way relationship, or maybe it was just, I don't know, like separately, but exchanging nudes and all that shit. I mean, who says romance is dead?
She's how she's how old?
So Melissa was 19, Tegan was 17. Okay. And yeah, I'm not, I think that it's legal for a 17-year-old to do that. I'm not sure, like, I think that it depends on the location.
But I feel like ethically it is, I mean, your professor clearly.
Oh, you mean about that? I meant about the nudes, but yeah. I mean ethically, obviously not.
Either.
Yeah, so...
Wait, she's sending nudes to her professor?
No, she was sending nudes to Gareth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I found out about that, and then the person who told me also told me that, I mean, it would be like telling the sky's blue, but he said that Melissa has some issues with her father, like that she grew up in a certain way, like she's got daddy issues. I mean, obviously. And shit like that. It's just very questionable decision making, really. On all parties, on all parts. But yeah, so the blowjob story on voice chat, it actually ended up being, it was kind of turned against her later on, which is, again, like, another way to show, like, how toxic things were in that community, because she kind of told it, I felt like she was trying to be the clown in court, trying to amuse the people,
the
whatever.
jester.
Yeah, that's right. And then it just, these things never end well. Like, it always backfires on you.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's actually a snippet of a conversation that I had with Tegan. This was November 22. So, November 14th, actually. So, literally today...
Almost exactly 2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, right now, it's already the 14th here. So, literally today, 2 years ago. When he was making all these remarks, I was kind of starting to put the puzzle together. And I never took it too seriously, like, oh my God, this person could be a pedophile. But then I talked to her like once, and I mean, obviously she knew more about him because they had this weird ass relationship. And then she said to me, and I'm reading word for word now. She said to me, the only time he seemed to perk up when I sent him a picture from when I was still illegal 3 months ago. And I said, worrisome. So she replied, I do like provoking him though sometimes. He. So I asked her, do you really think he's a pedo? Like, damn, I never actually took this seriously up until now. So she replied, yes, I think he is predominantly sexually attracted to girls aged 13 to 18, maybe 21. I don't think he would try to do anything to a 6-year-old or something, or that he would ever go out with intent of maliciously hurting a teenage girl sexually, but I think it's pretty obvious he is attracted to younger, in italics, to younger ladies, let's just say that.
Who would have guessed?
You heard it coming straight from the horse's mouth.
Amazing.
Right?
Wow, what a shocking turn of events.
But you know what? This is just one of those cases of hiding in plain sight. Yeah. Because when you read the story, I don't think that, I mean, at least for me, but this is maybe just because I'm a thinker and I'm a skeptic. So my mind doesn't instantly go to, oh my goodness, he wrote a pedo romance, then therefore the author must be a pedophile in real life. That's not what I think. Especially in this, in the transgressive fiction genre, because the genre is supposed to bring, it's supposed to bring a very grotesque, worrisome, terrible idea, and you use that idea in order to get the reader to ask themselves all these questions. You know what I mean? About life.
Yeah, of course.
So and there was a lot of that in his story. You know, the question of consent, the question of who is leading who, because even though his character, like the narrator, was the adult, and obviously you hold him accountable for his decisions and like what he does, there's always a sense of impending doom in you know, when he takes you through that journey, and you find yourself rooting for his character, and there's a feeling that he is slowly walking into the trap, into the Black Widow's trap, even though she is the young one, but she's kind of represented as a femme fatale almost, or like you know that it's not going to end well, and that she's playing him and not the other way around. And it's unlike Lolita. It's not like Lolita in that sense, in a sense of like the power dynamics between the characters. That's not it. So yeah, but going back to the story, I remember like this one instance. There was a guy. I mean, in hindsight, I didn't see it that way at the time, but in hindsight, that the Discord was just, you know, breeding ground for pedos and like people that would
That's
really,
kind of like, that's the main thing I take away from this whole thing is like most authors, you know, who write things that are kind of fucked up, you wouldn't assume that they themselves are into any of these things. Like, you're not going to assume, obviously, an author who writes about a murderer is going to want to go and commit murder. But then you look, in this case, you look at the community that he's built up and has surrounded himself with, and like, you know, you kind of, the pieces fall into place, like you said. Like, you can kind of, you take away that maybe.
I feel like you can, with every puzzle piece that goes into place, you can still kind of excuse it because, and that's what I did. That's what I did until I felt like, oh, okay, I can't deny this anymore. Because you can say, you know what, this type of material, even if it's got nothing to do with the author's personal life, just the fact that he wrote such a story would naturally attract people that are thinkers, that they tend to, you know, ask themselves the question. Because I mean, even though to me it's clear that a relationship between a 14-year-old and a 37-year-old is wrong and should never be legal anywhere on the you know, it's just it's the moral compass that we have inside us. It's not even about rules, it's about what feels right. It's kind of like if we lived in a world without laws and rules, it would still feel wrong to strike a person down and kill them. It would still feel wrong because we have that inner moral compass, because we have empathy. We're not all psychopaths. Some of us are, but a very, you know, a small percentage. But most people would not be able to do that, even if we did, even if we weren't bound by law.
Right.
So my issue was never that the book asks you, why is it wrong for an adult to hook up with a minor? That's not the issue. On the contrary, like, I think that we should constantly, you know, examine these ethical questions, these, because in some places, you know, I mean, the law is not always right, and sometimes the law is not doing enough. You still have places in the world that marry 14-year-old, 12-year-olds to grown-ass men. So just because the law allows it there doesn't make it right. But it's still important to ask yourself, why is it not okay? You know what I mean? That was not my issue. My issue was that ultimately, knowing everything that I know now, I realized that it's not meant to ask you questions. It meant to hide something deeper in plain sight.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I do remember, like, there was this one guy on the Discord. His name was Francisco, and he also had like a blowjob joke chasing him for a very, very long time, because he said that he started dating this girl. He was asking dating advice on the chat, which Gareth, if I wanted dating advice, he would be the last person that I would go to. But he said that he's dating this girl, yada yada. It's great, but she can't suck dick for to save her life. So that joke of Francisco, forever looking for the perfect blowjob, just it haunted him for a very long time in the community. And then I remember, like, one time I was on Discord. Now, because of time zones, there were times of the day that the Discord would be pretty dead, and then times of the day that the Discord was really, really alive. So this was at a time that it was nighttime around my time in Australia. They have their own time zone, and it was just no one knew that I was around. I was just I was stalking, but I didn't write anything. But Tegan was there and Francisco was there, and then all of a sudden she sends in the general chat a picture of her cleavage. Now, again, a 17-year-old girl, a picture of her cleavage. Now, this is another thing that I was thinking, because you know what, if my source who said that she had this weird daddy dom little girl relationship with Gareth and she was sending him nudes, if I didn't see that picture of a cleavage, then maybe I would have doubted it a bit more. But when you see her doing something like that, and you realize, okay, this is something that she would do. You know what I mean? Because she just did it. So if she did it on general, then obviously
she just left it up.
Yeah. So she sent it, and then and she knew that he was around, this Francisco guy. She knew that he was around because he wrote a message, and then all of a sudden, like, I think that they chatted for like a few, like they went back and forth a few times, and then she sent the picture out of the blue, and then after a couple of minutes he commented, I don't remember what he said, but he commented, so she made sure that he saw it, and then she deleted it, and they didn't know that I was there. Yeah, so, and this is, also, like, another thing that I feel like someone like him was initially attracted to this community for these reasons.
Yeah.
Like, this type of content that he was hoping for, looking for, I don't know.
Yeah, and that maybe seems like the type of person that cannot separate fiction from reality a bit. Mm-hmm.
Or just, I don't know. It's like each person, makes whatever from this. This is art. Each person can make something else out of it, But yeah, so for a while, we the trolls were just wilding out. Mainly Emery and Zane. So yeah, just going back to that. Emery was 28 at the time. Based in England. Unemployed. No life whatsoever. All he was doing was reading high literature and drinking whiskey. Zane was selling cell phones. I think he was from LA. Familial issues, I would say, because he was not.
Sorry, these sound like the names of like shitty romance novel main character, like love interests. Sorry, it had to be said.
Fair. I do. The name Emery will forever haunt me because of him. Like, it's one of my favorite names now. I love it. But yeah, Zane, I don't know. I never liked Zane. I'm sorry. I never liked him. So, and there was this weird double standard that, because the mods were Melissa. I think Tegan was not a mod. I don't remember, but it was just like 3 mods. Gareth was never around to actually moderate what was going on. Mm-hmm. So everyone was just wilding out, doing whatever. It was just chaos, and Emery and Zane trying to out edgelord each other all the fucking time, and it just became impossible. Like the more time passed, I felt like the more we were kind of distancing ourselves from the goal. Because again, to remind you, his channel started as a channel for book reviews. He also did a bunch of videos about the process of writing a book, which I thought was great. I mean, for other writers, if they want to kind of get a look behind the scenes, like the struggles of a writer, yada yada.
God, imagine being just like a casual viewer of his channel and the whiplash you would experience from watching his videos and then coming into the Discord and just seeing the chaos.
Yeah. That was it, really. But I feel like for a certain person at a certain time, it can really, really grasp you, which is how I fell into this, crazy whirlwind of pedoville. So there was always this double standard that mods really, really liked, and I feel like Gareth is kind of guilty of it as well, because no one really liked Emery, but everyone liked Zane. So they would excuse Zane's behavior when it was just as bad, or sometimes even worse, but Emery would get time out like every other day, or and then it would come back, or like with alt accounts. It was just a fucking mess, and it also started becoming harder to tell who is who, because they both had alt accounts.
Yeah.
So it was hard to keep up with. But then Emery just went away for a while, and I was really sad because at that point we already had good talks one-on-one. Now, when we first started talking, and it's important for me to say this, he told me that he had a wife, but they were separated or divorced. I don't remember exactly, but it is important because it's, I was kind of trying to tell apart the lies and the truth of things, but when someone is saying the same thing over and over again, then it shows consistency, kind of like police interrogation, to kind of test a person to see if they're telling the truth or if their version is changing, whatever. So yeah, he went away for a while. I was really sad. I was actually the only person who wanted him back and would say every now and again, "Oh, I really miss Emery. Like, this chat really needs him." I was still around, but it just wasn't really the same, I guess. And then he came back, and he brought his ex-wife with him, and she went by Persephone. She's from Ohio. She was, I believe, 27 or 28 at the time, so same age. And she was a nursing student. And she mentioned that they have a child together, a toddler, I believe. I think it was a she. And but they were no longer together, and the child was with her, and he was in England.
Did he ever say why he brought her in to the Discord?
Later on, yeah, I asked him about it because I do feel like ultimately she was a nail in the coffin of our relationship and just in general, because she was just a fucking bloodhound. I swear to God. Whenever I would, whenever we were both around and talking, she would interfere and try to derail the conversation. It was just fucking impossible, gatekeeping him all the freaking time. Now, that was also the main reason that I feel like sometimes my emotional intelligence is non-existent, and it blinds me to the very obvious things. So I swear to God. So
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so like the most common explanation, the easiest one, which was also the only explanation, was that she was just fucking jealous of him talking to someone else, a female, online. And I was constantly trying to find a logical reason to explain this sort of behavior when it was right in front of my face and I never saw it. literally. And I said this to him so many times in the past. If you're still with her, then just tell me, because it would help me understand why she's behaving the way that she's behaving. Because in my mind, if they're not together, why are you constantly trying to piss on him to mark your territory? You're not together. Back the fuck off.
I feel like it would have been, she would have been like that regardless, but the fact that they have a child together probably also exacerbated the situation as well. Like, she felt like because they had this child that she, like, that's something that keeps them together, essentially.
I don't know, because he did tell me that he sees the child, but but not that often, obviously, because he is in England, and so I'm assuming once or twice a year. And I do remember that she one time made a comment. It was kind of an offhand comment about because they were talking holidays or something like that, and she said, I could only dream that he would be home for Christmas or something like that. Yeah, now when we first started talking, me and Emery, he said that he is working in something in Europe, but that he's about to not be working anymore, like to finish this job or whatever. He kind of made it sound like he's going into pension or something. but he's 27, 28, so we know that's not it. He was just lying. I understand. Later on I understood why he was lying, but he mentioned that, and then he was kind of also talking about flying out to see his child. So that made me realize that he does not see his child, that much. Which makes sense. There's an ocean between America and England. So, where was I? So, Persephone, and this is a good time to mention that she is a very, very, very toxic INFP, and people like her just make me not want to meet another INFP for the rest of my life. So yeah, he brought her into the Discord. Now, a very long time afterwards, like I think 2 years later, we were talking about it, and he said that the reason that he brought her on was because he felt very lonely. Like, there was no one in his corner. Like, no one liked him. No one was in his corner. So he brought her on.
Like you didn't exist.
I mean, but the thing is, it's... Emery, this is kind of crazy because he is an INTP, and INTPs are supposed to be even colder than us INTJs, essentially. They are the cold machines, them and ENTPs. This is interesting. He was more emotional and like showing more emotion than me. So a lot of the time when he would make these remarks, I would be blind to it. I will get to it more in as later, but kind of like with examples and shit. But I don't know. I always found it interesting that he was in a way more feminine or emotional than me in that sense. I mean, I liked him. I always liked him. I can say that as a person, I even loved him. I loved, talking to him and be around him, and like whenever he would come around, I would instantly, get engaged and whatnot. But it was always in a way, my way of showing him affection was, look, I'm giving you my time. If I talk to someone, oh my goodness, if I voice chat with someone for 3 hours, that's pretty fucking rare for me, a person that only ever wants to text people. I don't want to hear your voice. I don't like I don't like voice calls that take forever, but it was very, very engaging. But I'm aware that like I'm not great at expressing my feelings and saying to someone, listen, I really like spending time with you. It's not something that I would usually do. Yeah. I would usually just, this is the way that I behave, and like I almost expect you to deduce whatever you will from it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah. And then, she joined the Discord, and he was, now at that time, me and Tegan were still pretty close, because like we would talk one-on-one, like the conversation that I just read you apart from. And And then him and Persephone would constantly go back and forth on the general chat, back and forth, yada yada. And it was just really weird between them. They would say all these weird things, all these private jokes, which understandable, they were married. But it made me and Tegan kind of question, like, what is going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's valid.
Yeah, we had all these theories. I thought that they are, I thought that they were still together and just a swinger couple looking
like
for a third.
unofficially, they like together but not together, you know. We're together, but we're allowing the other person to kind of explore. That's what I would have assumed, maybe.
I thought that they were still married, that he just lied to me, because I did, once someone is caught in a lie, it's not unlikely to assume that he will lie again. So that's what I deduced. Like, I thought that they're married, for some reason are not in the same place geographically, and they're maybe looking for, like, they're swingers or looking for a third, party for their shenanigans, whatever. And on several, like, occasions, me and Tegan would kind of talk about it one-on-one and speculate and whatnot. So then one time I told her, let's try to cyberstalk them and see what we can find. We couldn't find that much. She was actually better than me, because she found this, I don't know, like a poetry page of his. And Persephone commented there, apparently. It was from a few years ago, so she commented there, and then we kind of, checked out their profiles and whatnot. This is also another thing. Emery writes poetry, so, like, if you're writing poetry, how cold can you really be?
Right.
And he's a very good writer, by the way. I think that his writing is fabulous. So yeah, that was that. And then, she was kind of around all the time. And pretty early on, like, there was this one incident, and this is the first time that I ever heard from her, that I was ever in direct contact with her. They were on voice chat, a bunch of people, and then I joined. I think they were like 5 people, and then I joined, and it was a bit messy, like everyone kind of talking over each other. Now, yeah, you were gonna ask something?
Yeah, quick question. Did you guys ever interact just like in the text channels on the server, or did you just kind of avoid each other?
Me and Persephone?
Yes.
Oh, later on we went head to head all the freaking time.
But prior to this event.
So the first time that I ever interacted with her was that specific voice chat, and it did not go well. Okay. So so what happened was that, a bunch of people were on the voice chat. I saw everyone. I was like, yeah, I'll just hop in, say hi, talk to people, see what's up. And a bunch of people were talking, talking over each other, a bit messy, but it was, was a lively chat. Now, the thing about me and Emery, we're both very dominant in conversation. So when there are other people involved, we still take over. And kind of unintentionally, it's just something that happens. I don't know. I think that it's the NT effect. I think that's what it is. So we talked about something. I don't remember what it was, but we talked about something, and then we, I think that we said the same thing at the same time. Like, we were completing each other's sentences, and then there was this, kind of awkward pause. And after that, like a minute or two later, the conversation took a turn to true crime and serial killers. And then I said that, now, people don't know this, but I've researched serial killers and personality disorders for a very long time now, like years probably. I don't want to brag. I don't have, it's not like I have a PhD in psychology or whatever, but I think that I have a pretty good grasp on profiling certain people, especially, you know, like the famous ones, yada, yada. So I said that I don't think that Ted Bundy was a psychopath. I actually think that he was a sociopath. And, you know, I was listing my reasons, blah, blah, whatever. She didn't really, and she immediately contradicted me, and she attacked me. It was not like a discussion. It was an attack, like legit. And, you know, she would just go really, really, really hard. What are you talking about? You have no idea. You sound so stupid. And just, you know what, loud, but also just started firing like a firing machine. It was insane. So the entire chat just went completely quiet. It was so awkward. And I was too. I did not... And remember, this is my first interaction with the person. I did not reply. Like, I went completely, you know, quiet and still. I was kind of like, what is going on?
Just let her go off.
I was like, what is going on?
She'll run out of steam eventually. It's fine.
No, you know, I didn't get offended. Like, I wasn't going to cry or whatever, but I just didn't really understand this.
I mean, I feel like I would be too dumbfounded to cry or to do anything. Like, I would just be shocked. That's that out of nowhere. I don't know.
If a person that I don't know goes off when he screams at me, I'm not going to cry. I don't think so. But
it's giving, like, Karen energy.
Yeah. But it's just, I was more like trying to analyze the situation, like what is going on here right now. And then you know, it was really quiet for a moment. And then Emery he tells her, babe, calm down. She's going to think that we're attacking her. That's what he said. And I mean, if he said it, then, you know, if it got to a point that he had to say something, that means something. And that was it. Now, I don't know. It takes a while for me to feel like you're personally attacking me. I think it's just because, you know, in conversation and a discussion, I don't take it personally. You know, if I think you're wrong, then I can tell you, listen, you're an idiot and you have no idea what you're talking about. Go educate yourself. Or like, you know, give you a bunch of reasons as to why I think I'm right and you're wrong. And that's the end of it. And I will not take it personally whatsoever. Like, this is a discussion. And with feelers, I found that every single time they will take it to heart. And like, I don't want to say that they can't hold, you know, a discussion, debate, argument, whatever. But what I loved about Emery was that he is an NT like me, and our discussions were intense as hell. But at the end of it, even when we disagree, we always shook on it, and you know, each person went their own way, no harm, no foul, and no one got offended. It was just great. You know, it's mental sparring, but no one really ends up bleeding.
Right.
So that was one aspect of you know, the communication between us that was really important to me, and I really liked. Because it also, like, it lifted a fair amount of pressure off of me, because every time that I communicate with feelers, I feel like I need to tread very carefully, you know, and kind of treat them with silk gloves. And I don't want that. I don't want that kind of pressure. Like, life is already complicated enough. I don't want to have to worry about being, you know, callous with you all the time. So yeah, after that voice chat, I realized that we might have a problem, but I kind of dismissed it because, again, I don't take things personally.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember if I think that I told the story about Triangle Guy, that they were going, that they were kind of pushing him. That was pretty shitty move. So yeah, but I remember, like, for example, one time, this was a bit later down the line, because she was sending, did I say that she was sending pictures of her and Emery in bed?
Oh, you did mention that, yeah.
So, but she never posted a picture of herself, like her full face or whatever. The only person that she ever posted of herself, they were in bed together, and like it showed half of his face and half of her face. But you couldn't really see anything. I could see like a part of her eyebrow and her dark hair. That's it.
Now, this might be calling out the obvious here, but it sounds like perhaps she was a bit insecure.
You know what? It's just, it's very, very sad. But listen, he told me something pretty horrible about her, because he had this mythological ex. Her name was Elizabeth, and apparently she was Jewish too. So I'm Jewish, his mythological ex is Jewish. I don't know, maybe she felt like this Jewish demon is coming to hunt her from the grave or whatever. I don't know.
Calm down, Lilith.
Yeah, for sure. So he once told me that he never really loved Persephone, and this is your baby mama. To say something like that, it's very difficult. Like it's hard. But that he said something like, I only got together with her because she was a redhead, and my ex was a redhead. So, it's kind of harsh.
I don't know if I believe that either.
I actually do, because I'll tell you what. The dynamic between Emery and Persephone was unfair in the worst way, because, and this is also why I don't want a feeler partner, romantic partner, because he was playing her like a fucking violin. I felt like she was his lapdog, and he was constantly trying to balance a ball on her nose. That's how it felt. He knew exactly her pressure points and all her buttons. And as a thinker, doing that to a feeler, I think that it would be very easy if you know the person and you know how they operate. Now, you could say the same thing. The same thing works backwards as well. But I don't know. I feel like he was so much better at manipulating her than him.
But what would he be getting out of that?
Amusement. Again, it felt like she was his own like private circus or whatever. And he would never really take anything seriously. I don't know. It was kind of giving, I don't know. It was giving circus vibes. And
was their child planned, or was it? It
wasn't. It wasn't. It was an accident, and then they got married, and obviously it didn't take. The child was a toddler, so I think they got married after, and the thing is also that they it was a hookup period, and then she got knocked up after they were 2 months together or something like that. So it wasn't planned. But they got married, I'm assuming before she delivered. And then it really didn't last, because the child was like a toddler when we were talking.
Was there a reason why they decided to get married? Was it?
I'm guessing it's the baby.
Did he have very like traditional values, or?
So, did I mention that he is an Irish traveler, that he comes from?
No, I don't think you mentioned. Wait, maybe. I don't remember now, actually.
So, just
Possibly.
this is something that I've thought very long and hard on, but I think that his father is English, at least from what he told me. But his mother belongs to the Irish travelers, and she came to England for a better future, because they're poor people. They are gypsies in Europe, and they're really special community. Like, I've read a bunch about them. If you've seen Peaky Blinders, you haven't seen it, right?
Yeah, they're a little bit. Their culture is very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So that's basically it. The caravan life. That's Emery, and I feel like on a deeper level, it sounds very Freudian, I guess, but I feel like on a deeper level, because I belong to a very specific ethnic group, and he belongs, because they do have their own DNA, Irish travelers. I've actually looked it up. It's really interesting. Because we both belong to a very small, specific ethnic group, I feel like it contributed to that connection. And I don't know, it was just very special. And he has this vagabond soul, and I do too, because I constantly get like homesick for a home, away from home, kind of like the traveling life. And he's been around, so where was I going with this? I forgot.
Why they got married.
So yeah, it was unplanned, all of it. No wonder why it fell apart. And yeah, so this one time, because again, I never knew, like, she was in my internet sphere for almost 2 years, and I never knew what she looked like. And then one time she changed her profile picture, and it was a singer named Ethel Cain.
Oh, yeah.
So I have no idea who Ethel Cain is. I mean, I do now, but back in the day, I did not know who she was.
I actually really like her music.
Okay. So she loves her, apparently, and, looks up to her, whatever. I did not know who Ethel Cain is, but...
That's interesting. How old is Persephone?
Same age as Emery, 27, 28.
Because I'm pretty sure Ethel Cain is like barely over 20. That's interesting that she idolizes her.
Who is over 20, sorry.
Ethel Cain. She's like, she started her music career, I'm pretty sure, when she was like a teenager.
So you mean like that she appeals more to the Zoomer crowd? Is that what
Absolutely.
Okay.
Listening to her music and liking her music, like, that's one thing, but she, like, looking up to somebody who is, like,
definitely
a lot younger than her is kind of weird, but sorry.
Definitely looking up to her, because later on, I mean, at first I didn't know who she was, so I was making assumptions, but later on when when she was talking about Ethel Cain, she started saying all these things about her, and I was like, okay, whatever. So she switched her avatar, picture, whatever, and I thought that this is her. I thought that Ethel Cain is Persephone. I had no idea who this person is. And in my mind's eye, why would you use someone who's not your face? Whatever.
Yeah, that's a little bizarre.
This was well into our strenuous relationship. After, we've had many ups and downs. And I already, at a certain point, I just got fucking fed up with the way that she treated me, and how she would always it was getting legit difficult to interact with him, because I would always feel, and I also told him this, and it really amused him, probably because it was so spot on, but I told him, I feel like your ex-wife is like a bloodhound on our conversation every single time. Like, we would start talking and then she would come around. Now, this is for us, because England and where I'm from is very, like, close in terms of time zones. We were like only an hour apart, but for her, whenever she would come around and we would already be in conversation, she would come around 7-8 a.m. her time,
like she's waiting for you guys.
Or like she wakes up in the morning and she's like, let's see who Emery is talking to.
It's like she's like a fly buzzing around.
Yeah, all the time. And it just became very, very difficult to be talking to someone organically when you feel like someone's constantly over your shoulder and trying to also derail, because it's not just that she was stalking. She tried to derail the conversation every time. It just becomes impossible, and it's very, it's tiring. So yeah, one time I saw the picture and I was like, is that you in the picture? And she said, she didn't give me a straight answer, and then she said, "Why are you asking me this? You want to know if you got some competition." I was like, what? No, I just, I just wanted to know if this is you.
It's funny that she's saying that it's not even her. Like, oh, you have some competition from this person that's actually not really what I look like. That's so stupid. I'm sorry.
She was kind of, she was trying to explain, like, why I'm asking it. Like, she wants to know if she's got some competition. Like, if I thought that this was her, if I think that she's prettier, you know what I mean? It's just so, like...
But if it was actually a picture of her, like, that would be one thing, but it's... Okay, whatever. That's so... sorry, that's stupid. It's stupid.
It is stupid, but the thing is, I didn't know that this was not her. Like, I genuinely thought it was her, and I was just wondering, okay, finally I get to see her face after almost 2 years that you're trying to, defame me and drag me through the mud, so finally I see a face behind all this, a face put to this mess, essentially.
And honestly, I think that's a fair assumption to make. It's not like Ethel Kane is super popular, like, among especially people in our age group, and It's not like she's using like a photo of a character or something, like she's an actual person.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, so after that, did I tell the part about Zane's server? I don't think so.
No, we should probably call it though. After that, I just noticed we've been recording for over an hour now.
Oh shit! Like almost 80 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So do we want to stop here and then just continue? Oh my goodness, it's gonna be 2 more parts.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up because we've been recording for a very long time and there's still so much to cover. I mean, thank God for mentally ill people online, right? But yeah, so we're just gonna switch to recommendations and what we're looking for next week, next month. What is it?
I ordered from Amazon. I'm so excited about this. I'm getting back into trying to learn chess again. So I ordered a copy of Fundamental Chess Openings. That's supposed to be here soon, so I'm very excited about that.
Okay.
I haven't played a full game of chess in like 3 years, maybe 4 years.
Really?
It was just sometime during COVID, yeah. So I'm excited to get back into that.
So I tried to carve up, not a lot of time, but like I tried to carve up a fair amount, like an hour per week, to play chess on chess.com, but it's just not working. I'm never getting to it. So I don't. But I love the game, but I feel like if you don't practice, then what's it worth, really?
I don't know what it is with chess.com for me, but the app does not work. It is absolute garbage for me.
I don't know about the app, but I just play a desktop and it works fine, but I never get around to it anymore. It kind of sucks because I love it and I feel like it really helps to keep your mind sharp, but
yeah, I agree.
Being too fucking busy.
I'm taking a break from French until next week, so I have a little bit of extra time to allocate to hobbies a little bit. So
that's good.
Filling that void with chess.
And do you have any chess books?
I don't currently, no.
I have a few. I'll take a picture and send them to you. I have a few that I found. I just picked them up in secondhand bookstores, and I don't know why. They're always very expensive in secondhand bookstores.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
I wonder why, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Because,
like, I could get in a secondhand bookstore, and I mean, this is not a charity shop. It's not like Oxfam and I don't know what kind of chain, charity shops you have there, but it's not like that. It's a proper secondhand bookstore, and like regular fiction books can go from $5 to up to $15.
Yep, it's about the same here. I think I know what you're going to say, because I feel like here I've noticed that fiction books are very cheap, and then anything nonfiction, the price is a lot higher usually.
Yeah, and I think I paid for the chess books, but they are heavy, serious books. Like I'll show you they're serious books.
Dense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I paid for more than a couple, like $20, something like that. And I mean, I'm sorry, but it's for a secondhand book. $20,
that's
and it's not that it's literally secondhand. It went through many hands, but it was in all right shape, so whatever. And it does beat ordering online brand new, because with shipping it's gonna be more expensive, at least for me.
True. Oh yeah.
So yeah, but in terms of like orders, so I haven't bought books in a few months now, and I feel it. Like I feel the withdrawals. but I did.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same, because I need to take a break from buying books.
Oh my goodness.
I always say buying books and reading books are two totally separate hobbies.
100%. That is so true. Like we need to close the gap between the two.
Yep.
But so I finally ordered White Nights by Dostoevsky. Finally.
I did too.
Really?
I just got it. Yeah.
Okay, so we should maybe do a reading and then do an episode about it.
Yeah, it's really short, so yeah, we should.
I'm excited about that one, and it's just it's been a long time coming, because I've been seeing it everywhere, and it's like life is kind of the universe is dropping all these hints. It's about time. It's gonna happen this winter.
It's had a real revival lately too.
Yeah.
Because I also see it on social media quite a bit.
Yeah, all the time. And the second book that I ordered is True Detective and Philosophy.
Ooh.
I'm so intrigued about this read. So yeah, it's by there's not really like, it's not like a defined name. I don't know. It's weird. But it's called True Detective and Philosophy, A Deeper Kind of Darkness. And it says series editor William Irwin, and then edited by Jacob Graham and Tom Sparrow. I actually don't know like what's exactly in there, but I loved True Detective. And this is talking about season 1. I loved True Detective season 1. It's probably one of my all-time favorite shows. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Just the depth that they've given it behind the true crime. I mean, there's the true crime aspect to it, but there's just so much more into that. That they worked into that, and it's a brilliant show. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it.
Okay.
So I love True Detective. I love Philosophy. It's gonna be a bomb combination. But yeah, so I'm just looking forward to receiving these two books. It's probably gonna be a while, but it's okay. And I recently watched V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah.
It is such a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I've never seen it before, actually.
Really?
I remembered watching it, but then I realized that my memory deceived me, because I did not watch it. Or maybe I started watching it and then kind of, I don't know, like stopped for some reason. But it's a really, really, really good book. Really good movie. And I also saw Joker too. Have you seen it?
Oh, no, but I heard it got pretty bad reviews.
It totally, like, they totally butchered it.
Oof.
They totally butchered it. And have you seen the first one?
No, I haven't.
I feel like you might like the first one.
Probably.
Second one, I'm not sure, but if you ever come around to watching these two, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure.
Because unpopular opinion, the first movie I thought was amazing. The second one, people, butchered it in reviews, but unpopular opinion, I actually really, really liked it.
Okay.
But but there's a but to it. Like, I liked it, but I'm not going to get into that. And I watched the first episode of a pretty old show called The Wire. You heard of it?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So I just watched the first episode today. I really liked it, actually. In the past, because Sons of Anarchy is one of my all-time favorite shows. And the person who created Sons of Anarchy, his name is Kurt Sutter. He was a co-creator of The Wire, and a lot of people who saw The Wire recommended it to me, and they saw a lot of similarities, you know, because he would kind of bring the same ideas or like similar plot lines into Sons of Anarchy. So it's kind of like going back to the original now. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a crime, you know, kind of in the hood, police, court, drama, whatever. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm liking it so far. We'll see. It's like 5 seasons. So is that it? Is there something more that we should?
No, I think that's about it. That wraps it up pretty nicely.
All right. So thank you for tuning in, anyone listening to this. I hope that this has been sufficiently entertaining and there's more where this came from.
You know what? I am sufficiently entertained by this. So
yeah.
If we only have one fan, it is me.
Listen, I'm a fan of crazy people online as well. Right? What would we do without them? You know, like right? Life would have been dull. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we will be back probably either next week or the week after.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.